Good afternoon, sir. This is Cadet Perinon.
Cadet Rojas.
And Cadet Stoll.
We're the advisors to the UCOM Area of Responsibility Director, which is you. And recently in our emails, we have received a primitive problem statement embedded in the email saying that you would like for us to recommend candidate solutions which reduce the risk of refugee radicalization in the UCOM AOR. Moving forward in this presentation, we will display to you how we developed that primitive problem statement embedded in your email into a system that is based on values and recommends candidate solutions to this issue. Upon further analysis of our primitive problem statement, redefining our universe, and expanding our ideas, we were able to arrive at a redefined problem statement that focuses on necessary resources, security, cultural accommodation, and integration opportunities that are not conducive to radicalization. Following this, we will demonstrate to you how we arrived at this redefined problem statement.
Looking at our Plectica, we have developed our mental model in respect to the refugee crisis. Focusing on the green portion, we discuss why citizens are leaving the Middle East and Northern Africa, how these refugees impact the local community, who the major stakeholders are within the refugee crisis, and how multilateral cooperation will reduce the radical activities currently occurring within the UCOM AOR. Moving on to the red section, we look at the factors that lead to radicalization, inhibitors that hinder our solution process, and how Border Patrol could counteract these inhibitors and allow UCOM to be proactive for the refugee crisis. And moving on to the blue section, we look at countries that are vital actors within the UCOM AOR, the demographics of the refugees coming into UCOM, and how refugees are being recruited.
Looking at our stakeholders, we identified 5 vital stakeholders. By combining their urgency, power, and legitimacy, we determined their perspectives. For example, the UCOM director was identified as a decision authority, giving him a salience type of definitive and an analysis type of interview, meaning we would conduct an interview in order to identify his main concerns.
While conducting stakeholder analysis using the various determined methods available, we have derived their needs and transformed them into their requirements.
Once we have determined these specific requirements, we use them to build our qualitative value model. This model features our fundamental objective at the top, which should look very familiar to our redefined problem statement. Underneath that are the higher level functions, the objectives, and our values and value measures. These are used to assess the quality and the performance of our model later on down the road.
Taking a look at our quantitative value model, you can see we took our qualitative model and translated it into a quantitative graph. Furthermore, we took our quantitative values and put them into graphs to make it easier for us to visualize our values and see how they compare to one another. This quantitative value model allows us to identify which candidate solutions give our stakeholders the best value later on in our analysis.
We have refined our problem statement to encompass the full scope of our analysis thus far. The highlights of our redefined problem statement is increasing border security, increasing housing for refugees, and increasing transnational cooperation.
Now it's time to get to work. Using this redefined problem statement and each other's brains, we got together and conducted brainwriting, where we wrote down any idea that we had of potential solutions and alternatives to get after this problem that we have on our hands.
First, we conducted our feasibility screening. First, we filtered by needs, which include requirements such as physical, economical, financial, environmental, social, and legal. Then we filtered by wants and desires. This screening allowed us to get from a couple thousand solutions to a few high-quality alternatives.
After generating these ideas, we start grouping them into categories based on common characteristics using a Zwiski's box. From these ideas that are grouped together, we can start generating alternatives, which will later become alternative policy packages.
Our alternative policy packages has various policy packages ranked A through H. Each policy package contains different strategies to go about this crisis. For example, in policy package A, we have monthly living area inspections, allow businesses to overlook the lack of citizenship and job applications, individual rooms for refugees, full service on-site medics at each refugee camp, daily minimum of 50 grams of protein and other foods for refugees, as well as sexual and gender-based violence office at every camp to offer support for the refugees.
With these alternative policy packages, we conducted a feasibility screening matrix. In this scenario, we plugged these alternative policy packages into our quantitative model and determined whether it was a go or a no-go based on predetermined standards. In this case, we ended up eliminating 2 different alternatives based on these criteria.
After running our feasibility screening matrix, we found the list of alternatives that met the minimum requirement and plugged them into our quantitative model. Once we finished running these alternatives through our system, we found each and every single one of those values and found that candidate solution F gave the stakeholders the highest value of 61.67.
Once we've determined the value of each of the candidate solutions, we can then begin with the cost estimation. For example, in candidate solution F, we broke down each and every portion of that candidate solution into smaller parts in order to understand the total cost of this solution.
Looking at our total cost estimation, we have determined the initial cost of policy package F will run us $3,627,900, including the acquisition costs for a camp of approximately 200 personnel in the first month.
Sir, you can email me at dion.perinon@westpoint.edu in the future if you would like to discuss implementing this policy or these candidate solutions. Thank you so much for your time.